Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Across Canada, a slow reopening has begun.
It's nice to feel like you can walk into open space and you're not going to get a ticket for it.
But experts urge caution, warning the virus is still out there.
It would come roaring back if it's given the opportunity to do so.
CBC News has learned the Nova Scotia shooter had a piece of equipment that many real officers did not.
He has an advantage any way you cut it.
Should people over 70 keep isolating until there's a vaccine? Our doctors answer that and more of your questions. Plus, a street transformed from grim, shuttered storefronts to works of art.
What we've asked all the artists to do is to convey messages of hope.
This is The National. After weeks of watching the numbers and hoping for that curve to flatten, Canadian provinces are now starting to take some cautious steps forward. By tomorrow, just about every province will have loosened their COVID-19 restrictions in some way, but not all in the same way. For example, places like Quebec, Ontario, and Manitoba are letting more businesses open. Saskatchewan and PEI are among the provinces allowing more outdoor activities, and others are easing physical distancing restrictions. As Tally Ricci shows us, all of that has some excited and others worried.
A new week and a bit more movement as parts of the country slowly reopen.
It was wonderful to get out of my place. Freedom.
For some in Alberta, that looked like a weekend game of golf or a walk in the dog park.
Being able to come here and be off leash and play with his friends and just get the fresh air, it's like much needed.
In Ontario, garden centers and landscaping businesses will reopen tomorrow. Small businesses are quickly making changes to ensure their operation is safe.
We're taking separate cars to the job site to ensure distance. We're not sharing any tools. We have hand washing stations on site.
In hardest hit Quebec, retail stores outside of Montreal with an outdoor entrance will be allowed to reopen tomorrow. Elementary students outside of Montreal will be going back to class in a week, prompting warnings from some experts.
It's extraordinarily dangerous because the one thing we know from epidemiological modeling is that children represent a huge vector. They get their hands on everything, they catch everything.
BC didn't fully lock down its economy, but officials there are promising details this week on how it will reopen what is restricted.
We will not move forward with opening up different sectors until we're ready.
A lot of embracing and hugging.
Colin Furness says caution is key. We aren't out of the woods yet.
It would come roaring back if it's given the opportunity to do so.
But still, in this newly reopened Halifax Park, there's a sense of newfound freedom.
It's nice to feel like you can walk into open space and you're not going to get a ticket for it.
While regions start up different sectors at different times,
And our hospitals.
the Prime Minister says all should agree on one thing.
Opening gradually, opening carefully, and remaining extremely vigilant.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
The key to reopening is keeping the COVID case count down. Tonight, Canada's total confirmed number sits just below 60,000, pushed there by a huge jump in Quebec. It added more than 2,200 new cases today, but more than half of them are from last month. They weren't added in previously because of a technical problem. A much anticipated made-in-Canada rapid test for COVID-19 has run into a problem and is now being recalled. Ashley Burke with the new concern about the Spartan Cube.
It's going to revolutionize healthcare.
Health officials called it a game changer, the Spartan Cube, a portable device that detects COVID-19 in under an hour, but it's hit a setback.
Pathway of innovation will have some bumps, and I think this is one of those bumps.
Spartan pitched the product a month ago as a way to help rural and remote communities.
You can't always wait to send the results to a central lab. This will give those really fast results and really help ease that burden of testing.
Provinces, including Quebec, pre-ordered the tests by the hundreds of thousands. Ontario ordered almost 1 million. But during trials, Health Canada found the results were not reliable.
The device performed very well in a laboratory setting. It was in the real life setting, in the clinical setting, where it didn't perform well.
The machine itself works, it's the swab that's the issue. Spartan originally designed it for oral DNA testing.
Their swab is for your mouth, Therefore, it cannot fit all the way up into your nose. And you have to actually go pretty high up in the nose. You've seen those long swabs. And so because of that, their swab system is not able to pick up everything. You can only swab the outside of your nose or the inside of your mouth.
A problem the company believes is fixable, but is going to take more time. The federal government said it was important to speed up the testing process in the push to save lives.
When we do that quickly, there are going to be new facts that come in and situations that evolve that will require shifts in our postures.
All of this shows the trial and error of fighting a pandemic and the difficulty of moving fast during times of great urgency, especially now that testing is such a key part of provinces' reopening plans. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Prime Minister also announced today more money is coming for mental health, millions of dollars to help Canadians get these services online. Because as Briar Stewart explains, as this pandemic drags on, the need will just grow.
For Tim Bang, yoga has become a big part of life. The former addict, who has been in recovery for 6 years, knows what it is to struggle with mental health and how the pandemic could impact it.
This sort of thing would have gained me every reason to, go to those coping mechanisms that I used.
Bang is meeting with students and recovery groups online and believes connection, even a virtual one, is crucial.
I think it's really important that we do keep that connection with each other, even through this, because we are literally all going through a traumatic thing right now.
Last month, the federal government launched a site called Wellness Together to help connect Canadians to mental health help. And today, the Prime Minister committed tens of millions to develop more services.
Whether you're looking for strategies to manage stress or support from a professional, this will be a resource for you.
The job losses, uncertainty, and grief have taken a toll on people's mental health. Last month, psychologists with Mental Health Research Canada surveyed 1,800 people. They say one alarming finding is that people reporting high anxiety quadrupled from 5% to 20% since COVID-19.
I think what's not surprising is the prediction that depression will get worse. And I think that makes sense given that people, with continued social isolation, we're doing less.
Last month, Leslie Lutz, a psychologist, put out the call to others in her profession to offer free phone sessions. More than 200 signed up, and the calls and concerns flooded in.
Fear, how long is this going to last? If I go out to get groceries for my children, am I going to bring home COVID-19? Am I going to get them sick? I want to go see my parents, but I'm worried about infecting them.
Experts believe the longer this all goes on, the more mental health could deteriorate, which is why they say the support needs to be in place right now. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
And the race for a COVID-19 vaccine is intensifying. Anita Bath is looking at where we're at tonight.
Ian, vaccines usually take 10 to 15 years, but no one can afford to wait that long, so this race is unprecedented. Only 9 out of around 100 groups seem to be making major progress, moving on to the next stage. A British-based pharmaceutical giant claims it will know by June or July whether researchers at Oxford will have a vaccine by the end of the year. But safety is one of the biggest concerns with having to fast-track.
The efficacy of the vaccine in terms of generating strong antibody responses is probably going to be okay. The real question is whether the safety profile is going to be fine. So that's actually the main focus of the clinical studies.
A lot of challenges here. Researchers are starting from scratch, knowing very little about the virus. So some are eyeing treatment of people already infected with COVID rather than vaccines as something more attainable in the near future. In fact, today, the Prime Minister gave a Vancouver company $175 million for its research.
We've identified antibodies that could be used in drugs to treat this virus. This new funding will help them continue their vital work and will support human trials beginning as early as July.
But if and when a vaccine is developed, the biggest challenge may be manufacturing and distributing to billions worldwide. It's something that's never been done before. But one thing that is clear, it's unlikely one vaccine will be enough. Ian?
All right, we're going to talk more about that later in the hour. Thanks, Anita. The Canadian Forces snowbirds flew over parts of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia today, the start of a cross-country tour to thank Canadians doing their part to fight COVID-19. of this was also a chance to honor the victims of this week's military helicopter crash and the Nova Scotia mass shooting, flying over CFB Shearwater and the community of Portapique. Now, 2 weeks after that deadly rampage in Nova Scotia, we're learning new details about the advantage the gunman may have had on the road and how his replica RCMP vehicle was equipped with something Constable Stevenson didn't have. Thomas Dagler explains.
The fiery wreck the Nova Scotia gunman left behind tells only part of the story of the crash that came just moments before.
He has an advantage. Any way you cut it, doesn't matter where he hits the car.
Look closely at the front of the killer's mock Mountie cruiser caught on surveillance video during his rampage. The car was equipped with a black push bar, the kind of accessory that allows officers to clear away broken down vehicles or push cars off the road in a high-speed chase. Sometimes it's just used to mount police lights and sirens. But for the killer, it may have served as a weapon at a key instant.
The gunman was traveling southbound on Highway 2 at that time. At that point, both vehicles collided head-on.
When the attacker's vehicle crashed with Constable Heidi Stevenson's patrol car, her vehicle had no push bar, a fact the RCMP has now confirmed to CBC News.
The things can actually be used as a battering ram, so it depends in effect on who's driving them.
Provincial police in Ontario and Newfoundland and Labrador equip all marked patrol vehicles with push bars. Some municipal forces, including those in Halifax and Montreal, do not. This deadly crash in Saskatoon in 2017 came after a police chase. An inquest later recommended officers be given access to adequate equipment for high-risk vehicle stops, including push bars. The Mounties tell us among their 588 vehicles in Nova Scotia, they do not have a count of the number of cars currently equipped with push bars. This former deputy commissioner says they're uncommon, and the gunman came prepared.
Because he outfitted his vehicle with push bar, stands to reason that he might have expected any type of roadblocks or having to go through fences.
No one knows whether extra equipment could have saved lives then, but it may lead to new questions now. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's turn to Fort McMurray, Alberta now, where all evacuation orders have been lifted. Residents and business owners are now confronting the flood damage precisely 4 years after the community was devastated by wildfires. The emotion of it all and the voices of the people that Rafi Boudjikanian met today.
Where do you want to begin? You can still smell the mud in Todd Stillwell's auto decoration shop.
My personal car is there, our equipment plotted.
He could be out more than $100,000. And he's just found out his business interruption insurance does not include damage from floodwaters.
I don't have the words that I want to say for this because they're not nice. I'm very frustrated.
A feeling many in Fort McMurray share as they begin a long recovery. This raft of ice caused 2 rivers to overflow, displacing thousands. It took a week to thaw, and it's left behind nothing but trouble.
It's sad to say there's going to be a lot of businesses shutting their doors. There's going to be a lot of people moving away.
But residents are trying to rally.
I've been here for 51 years now, and I'll stick around.
And to help each other. This gym mustered an entire battalion of volunteers for cleanup.
It's going to hurt in the short term, but it's going to grow in the long. And you can see that happen already here. So.
Stillwell, too, has found a sign that not all is lost, an untouched memento from 2016.
These were issued to us after the wildfire. Fort McMurray Strong Hard Hats.
The city's mayor says he knows many are out hundreds of thousands of dollars and are uninsured.
We need the help of the province and the federal government. I've been saying it for days now, ever since I saw the extent of the devastation. Very few people have coverage, so this could put people in financial ruin.
And he expects the province to take a hard look at how it monitors water levels. Many had only a few minutes worth of warning to escape this flood and left much behind just to make it out alive. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Fort McMurray.
Well, let's head to the United States now, where President Donald Trump talked again tonight about moving America past the pandemic, even though COVID-19 is still very present. Paul Hunter goes inside Trump's virtual town hall on getting back to work.
set in the grand, literally presidential Lincoln Memorial, tonight turned into a TV studio for Fox News. It was Donald Trump's latest chance to frame the U.S. response to the coronavirus crisis his way.
We never had a more beautiful set than this, did we?
It was billed as a virtual town hall with questions for the president sent in via social media. On reopening the U.S. economy, Trump seemed to suggest it's vital to do so, carefully but quickly.
These are people that want to get back and work and make a living, and they're afraid their job's not going to be there.
It comes amid growing pressure for some U.S. states to now reopen. This is the Capitol building in Michigan last week, a state with the highest COVID death rate in America. Demonstrations like that continue throughout the country. This is California yesterday. Here's the Kentucky Capitol. And this is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But even as some states do reopen, medical experts warn to reopen too much too soon risks reigniting the spread of the virus.
I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90.
Meanwhile, as the U.S. death toll climbs ever higher, Trump tonight predicting it'll hit 90,000. He also stood by his support for the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine, deemed unsafe for use against COVID even by his own authorities. The Democrats, he said tonight,
I'm not going to say die. I'm going to say would rather see people not get well because they think I'm going to get credit if, hydroxychloroquine works.
And he seemed to surprise even his interviewers with a prediction a COVID-19 vaccine is close at hand.
We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year. By the end of the year, have a vaccine.
By the end of this year.
We think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of this year. And we're pushing.
And Paul, back to COVID in the U.S. economy and why Trump is so keen on a speedy reopening.
Well, because the election is now precisely just 6 months away, November 3rd. Throughout his time in office, Donald Trump has touted the once strong U.S. economy as his big success story. Its health was deemed key to any chance Trump has at re-election. For now, that's gone. Absolutely, it's critical to get people back to work safely, to put money in pockets again. But for Trump, the stakes are also supremely political, and he knows it. Ian.
Thanks, Paul. Now, as for the origins of COVID-19, the U.S. president has said there is evidence that it first infected someone at a lab in Wuhan, China, not at a public market. Today, Prime Minister Trudeau was asked whether he has the same assessment.
It is still too early to draw firm conclusions, and indeed, our focus remains on how we are working to protect Canadians.
The U.S. Director of National Intelligence said last week that it agreed with scientific assessments that the virus probably wasn't man-made, but it is looking into whether it resulted from a laboratory accident. There are also questions about how the virus is spread in China. President Trump blames the Chinese government, and China is blaming the U.S. for a second wave that prompted a partial lockdown of millions. Wendy Mesley on the war of words.
We discovered a new virus.
So what?
It's dangerous.
It's only a flu.
Wear a mask.
Don't wear a mask.
Mockery. It's just part of the latest message Chinese state media is spreading online to paint themselves as the heroes and accuse the U.S. of spreading COVID-19. There's now a new outbreak in the city of Harbin. 11 million people are on partial lockdown, and the state's message, patient zero, came from the U.S. Sound familiar? Remember, during the Wuhan outbreak, some Chinese officials spread the conspiracy that this American woman was the source of the virus after she traveled to the World Military Games in Wuhan. It was quickly shot down, but Chinese diplomats still pushed the narrative. Vanessa Moulter has been researching the Chinese campaign.
The narrative is that, China is not at fault for the coronavirus, that China is helping the world, that the Chinese government has done a great job at their response, and instead shift blame completely to the United States.
And from the other side of the world, Donald Trump has launched his own version of the blame game. This week, he floated the opposite conspiracy. Maybe China spread the virus intentionally.
And they could have contained it. They were either unable to or they chose not to.
And now, Republican ads are flooding Facebook saying things like, China lied, and what else is China hiding? Many using it as a fundraising tool, and it's reached thousands of Americans.
It is just a huge waste of time, to be blunt.
Senior scientists like Keiji Fukuda are caught in the middle. I asked him why this matters.
It matters hugely. We're all wanting this to end as quickly as possible. And the degree to which this kind of politicization gets in the way, it really hurts people around the world.
So if you could speak to the leaders of China and the U.S. as a scientist, what would you say to them?
Make our jobs easier and let us get on with saying what we need to say, doing what we need to do.
But it's unlikely the two leaders are listening and will continue to point fingers at each other at least until November's presidential election. Wendy Mesley, CBC News, Toronto.
Volunteers are being called in to help Canadian care homes stretched to the limits.
I'm begging them to come. We really need the help.
Ahead on The National, you'll hear from exhausted workers and the people now jumping into action. And we look at your chances of getting COVID-19 while exercising outdoors.
It's a really, really small thing to do in order to potentially protect someone else.
For us, it's mission accomplished.
The view above Nova Scotia and a very sincere thank you from below.
It made us look up and say, wow.
We'll be right back.
When it comes to avoiding COVID-19, don't touch your face is generally shorthand for don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth. But what about your ears?
Certainly the ears are a mucous membrane, and certainly it could theoretically be possible.
You can think of those mucous membranes as being like doors from the outside of your body to the inside. So those entry points, eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, and sure, there are a few below the belt. But
I think if we were going to make a list of the order of probability of which mucous membrane this is going to come in on the head, let's keep it there, the ears would be last.
That's because most people don't generally touch their ears all that often. The mucous membrane inside also isn't super exposed the way it is with your eyes. There's also no active airflow. Your nose is like a vacuum cleaner. Your ears, not so much.
But I guess it's possible. It is a mucous membrane.
Okay, ready to move on? The warmer weather might have you wondering about the safety of some outdoor activities, especially exercising outdoors. Briar Stewart looks at the possible risks and benefits.
When Neil Johnston heads out for a run these days, there's one piece of gear he isn't without.
It's a really, really small thing to do in order to potentially protect someone else.
While it makes his breathing more laborious, he started wearing the mask after he saw a series of studies online around what's called respiratory signature.
It's more out of consideration for others than myself. I know that the mask won't do me any particular amount of good inhaling other people's signature.
Last month, a Belgian researcher used this animation to illustrate that respiratory droplets exhaled from runners could travel more than 4 meters behind them. The research hasn't been peer-reviewed or published and has sparked a lot of debate. It doesn't address how likely it is that someone could be infected by COVID-19 this way.
Is it impossible? Strictly speaking, no, it isn't impossible, but it would appear to be a lot less likely.
Raymond Tellier is a medical microbiologist currently doing COVID-19 testing. He says research shows the virus can remain in the air for several hours but get spread out through ventilation.
Chances are if you're outside and someone runs by you, you're only near them for a short time. And even if they did have COVID-19, scientists still don't know how much of the virus needs to be concentrated in the air for someone to become infected.
Given the unlikelihood of becoming infected while out for a walk, people are encouraged to exercise. These researchers are surveying hundreds to find out just how outdoor activity is helping people cope.
Well, we're stating that physical activity and doing it outdoors might be better for mental health. We're also realistic to following medical health officer guidelines to understanding that there's certain locations where that's going to be more challenging.
Such as a crowded path on a bright sunny day, which is why even with the mask, Neil Johnston tries to keep his distance. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Time now for some of your COVID-19 questions. And joining us tonight, Dr. Michael Curry, an ER doc in Delta, BC, just outside Vancouver, and Dr. Samir Gupta, a respirologist in Toronto. Welcome to both of you.
Welcome, Ian.
So here we are on the eve of a lot of places relaxing restrictions, and that is kind of the theme of some of our questions. So Dr. Curry, let me begin with you. As provinces begin to open, do seniors and or those with underlying issues need to stay inside until there's a vaccine?
It's all about balancing the risks, Ian. To keep the risk absolutely as low as possible, people who are more vulnerable to it may want to isolate themselves and may want to try to limit contact as much as possible. But that's going to have a social cost, and just in terms of doing your daily activities of living, like getting groceries, there is going to be a need for some degree of social interaction. So the older and the sicker you are, the more vulnerable you are, and probably the more precautions you want to take. But limited ventures outside to get groceries and when outside practicing good hygiene will keep the risk down to a low level.
Now to a couple of questions about physical distancing, and both within challenging environments. And Dr. Gupta, how should social distancing work on transit as things start to open up?
I think the key on transit really is having less people on every subway car or streetcar, or a bus. And once you limit the number of people, you can also just block off seats to ensure that you have that physical distancing. In some places, they have something called an ambassador, so somebody actually works for the authority who's actually looking at that and making sure people are distancing. You want people to wear masks. You want to ensure hand hygiene because there are a lot of high-touch surfaces. So ideally, you have access to hand sanitizer at every entry point and exit point. The other piece is that, as it ramps up and people go back to work, it's going to be really tough in the rush hours, morning and evening rush hour. So it'd be very helpful if workplaces were able to rotate start times and end times so that we see an easing of those crunch times.
Good advice. Dr. Curry, another difficult environment for social distancing. How should it be managed for kids when they go back to school?
Well, that's definitely going to be a challenge. I think some of the key things that we want to do are try to keep class sizes as small as possible. So like Dr. Gupta mentioned, we may want to stagger class time. Also trying to keep physical distance within the classroom as best as can be done. And the other issue is probably trying to minimize interaction. So younger children that tend to get educated in one room might be a little bit easier to return to the classroom than students in high school or post-secondary education, where you have a whole new group of students with every class.
All right, one last question with very little time, but I want to touch on one part of it. Dr. Gupta, what is the rough timeline for a vaccine to come out for mass production? So let's focus on the production part of it.
Yeah, the production can take a long time, actually, particularly when we're talking about, in this case, billions of doses. So traditionally, we produce vaccines either in chicken eggs, for example, for the flu vaccine, or in cells that we culture. And you've got to produce it, you've got to harvest it, purify it. That takes time. The good news is that among the almost 100 vaccines now being tested for novel coronavirus, some of them are so-called mRNA or messenger RNA vaccines, and they work differently. Instead of giving actually a protein, you're giving a piece of genetic material that goes into the human cells and stimulates our own cells to produce the protein that will then trigger the immune response. And the advantage of that approach is that you can actually mass produce those kinds of vaccines very quickly. So if one of those is effective, we're going to have less of an issue on the mass production side.
All right. A lot of people cheering on, a lot of scientists around the world, for sure. Thanks to both of you. And as you know, if you're a regular viewer of the show, we ask your questions about COVID-19 every night, so send those to us. You can message us directly on Instagram at CBC The National, or you can send us an email at covid@cbc.ca. And next on The National, a call for help answered at a Canadian care home.
We've been blessed, very blessed, to have the extra help and support. Our angels were starting to get tired.
We look at the dire situation inside and why they're still desperate for more assistance. And later, how the United Kingdom became one of the worst outbreaks in Europe, shifting strategies and the view from the front lines. Ontario reported at least 44 COVID-19 related deaths today of residents in long-term care homes. That makes almost 1,000 now across more than 80 facilities. The challenges for the staff inside are clear: overworked and thinned out by their own illnesses, caring for vulnerable residents who are isolated from family. David Common shows us one home that got some much-needed help.
Geraldine Stringer has been locked down, the virus racing through her home. She hasn't been allowed out in 5 weeks.
I've been very alone, and I know that my neighbors have been very alone, and I know that I heard them calling from the door. That's our limit, that's to the outside world.
Toronto's Wellesley Central Place has been in deep trouble. So many staff became sick that at one point, just 1 in 5 employees were left able to work. To the rescue came dozens of hospital workers sent from Toronto's University Health Network.
We're hearing about it in the media as to the conditions that long-term care is in right now, but you don't realize it until you actually get here and you actually do the work.
Mohammed Overamparath is an RN and hospital clinical care manager, stunned by what he's now seeing in long-term care.
These guys needed all the help that we can give. The fact that these guys have been trying and pushing and pushing and pushing and hoping for a little bit of light.
However, light has also been extinguished. At least 16 residents have died, a toll made heavier until help arrived.
Normally I'd find myself in the OR shadowing surgeons or talking to residents, but I found that having this kind of one-on-one care with patients, getting to greet them every morning, is just so rewarding. I'm a medical student.
AJ Shaw is hoping to be a surgeon. In his final year of medical school, he's now feeding, bathing, and toileting the vulnerable, including the 30-plus infected.
Right now we would have 1 PSW for the whole ward of 30 or 40 patients, if not for the volunteers. To me, that's crazy.
Up till the volunteer hospital workers arrived, many regular staff were working at least 12-hour days. The stress of taking care of the residents and fighting the disease adding up for registered practical nurse Elamar Guaca.
It was hard. It was like, at one point I want to go for this resident, but then there's another resident that needs the care, and then you have to prioritize who's which is which. And then at some points, even at the back of the med room, I cry because I'm like, I want to do something more for them, but is there something more I can do?
The added staff is an emergency measure, not a permanent one, in a sector long suffering from staff shortages.
I work 7 days a week. I have not taken any break.
Marcia Clayton hopes more will join her in the future as a personal support worker, and that governments will make the role more appealing.
And I'm hoping this will encourage more people to take up the PSW course. I'm begging them to come. We really need the help.
For Geraldine, the team have quite literally been lifesavers.
We've been blessed, very blessed to have the extra help and support. Our angels were starting to get tired.
COVID has been the great revealer of the state of long-term care in this country, and a spotlight on those struggling on the front lines. David Coleman, CBC News, Toronto.
So much to think about in that story. While keeping an accurate account of the number of lives taken by COVID-19, CBC News is also gathering stories about the people that number represents. It's a series we're calling Lives Remembered. And tonight, a longtime friend tells us about costume designer Ray Buchanan.
Hello, my name is Gillian Campbell, Klondike Kate. I'm an entertainer. I am so fortunate to have met Ray Buchanan. We lost him to the coronavirus a day after his birthday. He was 90 on the 25th of March, and he was so special. When I met him at Watts Costumes in 1967, I auditioned for a show in Dawson City, and Ray made me this fabulous costume. I mean, I'd never had anything so pretty. It was red velvet, and there was a gold stream down the front, and I had long gloves, and he made me a boa. I just left a very unhappy relationship, 5 years marriage, but I had 2 wonderful little boys. So I said, I've got to find somewhere to live. I said, and I told him, I explained to him, he said, oh, you come and live at my house. So he always said we were sisters. And I said, well, I'm the younger one. But anyway, he always said we were sisters. He started making all my gowns for Dawson City, the Frantic Follies, the Gaslight Follies. When I was Klondike Kate of Edmonton, every time I came out on stage, there were gasps because these outfits, costumes were so elaborate. He taught me so much. He gave me a career. He did everything for me. I mean, everything. He even used to cut my hair in the back garden. And we were planning a really lovely 90th birthday party for him. But of course, he got sick. Every day we thought he was going to make it. We really thought he was going to make it, but he didn't.
A tribute to Ray Buchanan is part of a series of stories CBC News is telling. Lives Remembered features Canadians taken by COVID-19. And if you'd like to share the story of someone you lost to this virus, reach out to us, covid@cbc.ca. Next, we take a closer look at how the outbreak in the UK became one of the deadliest in Europe.
There's a tidal wave coming, and either you can ignore it, and it comes and it washes you all away, or you can quickly build up a wall.
And a Canadian doctor working in a British hospital shares her perspective on how this all unfolded. Every country has its own story about the pandemic and the way it's being handled. Britain took the early approach of keep calm and carry on. Turns out that may have cost lives. The UK is currently reporting more than 185,000 cases and more than 28,000 deaths. Now, as Margaret Evans explains, it's closing in on becoming the deadliest outbreak in Europe.
Birdsong, able for once to pierce the noisy din it normally competes with in the British capital. It's not strong enough, though, to calm the internal dialogue of a nation whose fight against COVID-19 has been an erratic one.
We should be going about our business as usual.
There's been confirmation of the first death from coronavirus here in the UK.
The risk level has been raised from low to moderate.
At the end of February and in early March, the government's message was very much business as usual. Until it wasn't.
The Queen left Buckingham Palace this morning, a week earlier.
Getting the masks, getting the protective equipment to the front line is mission critical.
I must level with the British public. More families, many more families, are going to lose loved ones before their time.
Today, the country looks like it may well suffer the highest number of coronavirus deaths in Europe.
I think the decision was made quite early in March to give up on containment and to assume that this virus was unstoppable and that everyone would get it.
Global public health expert Devi Sridhar from the University of Edinburgh says the British government squandered time, first by toying with the idea of herd immunity, giving in to a kind of fatalism.
There's a tidal wave coming, and either you can ignore it, and it comes and it washes you all away, or you can quickly build up a wall through testing, tracing,
In early March, after Italy had begun locking down huge tracts of the country, the British government abandoned the goal of wide-scale testing, and the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, was boasting.
I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody, you'll be pleased to know, and I continue to shake hands.
When the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic on March 12th, Johnson warned the United Kingdom to prepare for many lost lives. But he didn't order a lockdown until March 23rd. In the interim, big events like the annual race at Cheltenham went ahead.
What we know with viruses is they exploit delays.
In the midst of all this, though, there has been a love story between the British people and their National Health Service, long neglected in terms of funding, but still standing. Dr. Aman Sandhu is a Canadian who came to study medicine here. Now an acute care doctor at an NHS hospital, she finds herself in the eye of the COVID-19 storm, working an emergency rota of 3 days on and 3 days off.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Dr. Sandhu.
Even the Daily Shop points to a profoundly altered world, where worries over her patient's safety must now extend to her family's and her own.
The anxiety has been there the whole way through, and the fear has been there the whole way through.
Despite assurances back in February and March, Britain has consistently struggled to meet the demands for protective gear and to explain why, especially when a government pandemic simulation exercise 4 years ago highlighted big gaps. More than 100 healthcare workers have died from the virus here in the UK. Dr. Sandhu doesn't want to talk politics, but she admits anger can come with anxiety.
I think a lot of us felt that way, and we felt that, our safety was being compromised. I think we have started to see more PPE coming through, which is very positive, but I mean, this would have been kind of helpful, like I said, 3-4 weeks ago.
The pandemic, of course, has prompted not just a health crisis, but an economic one. Many people watching their dreams disappear. It's one reason, says physician and Conservative MP Luke Evans, that the government insists its timing has been right.
If we acted too early, then you have the problem of crashing the economy. What you're trying to do is prevent the NHS from being overrun, save as many lives as you possibly can, while not crashing your economy. So to try and make a judgment call on this in the middle of a pandemic, I think is really, really difficult.
There is a reluctance here by many to judge the outcome of a fight not yet over. But Britain has already by far surpassed what officials called their best-case scenario of 20,000 COVID-19 deaths. And critics say accountability and transparency are key to maintaining public trust.
30, 90.
Boris Johnson is reported to have missed 5 meetings on the coronavirus threat by Britain's Special Security Committee early in the year, and 8 calls or meetings with European Union leaders about it. Alistair Campbell was an advisor to the former British Labour Prime Minister Tony Blair.
If you look at when this thing was starting, and it was beginning to get closer and closer and closer, I think there was a real complacency.
The Prime Minister has emerged from his own private battle with COVID-19 to say it's still too soon to lift the lockdown, but not to talk about it. Efforts to dramatically increase wide-scale testing and tracing earlier dismissed are now underway.
The mistake that was made in the UK was...
But Devi Sridhar says it's not robust enough yet, that Britain is still playing catch-up after 7 weeks of lockdown.
It feels like Groundhog Day in my mind, where I'm like, it keeps repeating the delays when actually no one seems to understand that time is the currency.
And so not to be wasted. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
We'll be right back with tonight's moment. But first, in Vancouver, some shuttered storefronts have been getting a makeover. A group of local artists is turning them into murals.
We've asked all the artists to do is to convey messages of hope, images that can spark joy, celebrate resilience, lots of different interpretations of that, but everything's been really positive and really amazing so far.
With donated supplies, each piece takes hours to create. About 40 have been done so far. As for the reaction?
The response has been amazing. The artists just telling us on the streets, people honking at them, cheering for them, letting them know that they really appreciate what they're doing.
There's an additional benefit. Break-ins and vandalism have been deterred because, the hope is people don't want to damage a beautiful work of art. It began as a tribute to Canadians on the front lines of COVID-19, but the Snowbirds chose to fly over 2 communities in particular today, and this show of support took on a whole new meaning. It's been a difficult 2 weeks for Nova Scotia, and today's flyover was a moment to come together for those in the Snowbirds and those watching down below. And it's our moment.
Today was a very special day to show our support to the RCMP, the friends and families of and everyone affected by the mass shooting in Nova Scotia. It was an honor to go around Shearwater and do a missing man formation, an honor to the 6 members that were part of the cyclone incident.
My grandfather flew with the Snowbirds many years ago, so it was so amazing for my husband and my son and I to be able to watch them pay tribute.
It made us look up and say, wow. And I think this is a time when we all need to look up and breathe deeply and be able to say wow about some things in our lives.
it's in a way a little overwhelming how supportive people from Nova Scotia are from us going over and honoring those people.
I'm trying to think of the number of times I've seen the snowbirds over the years, and I think every time it's been associated with some sort of festival, you know, like maybe a big football game or a summer festival somewhere, but never this kind of remembrance or memorial, or, you know, the way that as they go across the country, they want people to, as we heard from the woman from Truro, to look up and kind of think about what we've all been through over the last few weeks. So we'll have an opportunity to do that as they make their way across the country. That is The National for May the 3rd. Good night.